Hello friends, this is Worm here with a new series called What If Wednesdays, where we talk about fun what ifs in Destiny 2. And I want to start this series by beating a dead horse here. I want to talk about comp. And basically, what if Bungie did X to comp, right? Now, I wanted to make this video because every part of my soul wants to love the competitive playlist. Like every part of me wants to get in there and have an absolute blast and have fun. But I find it incredibly difficult. I find Trials of Osiris more entertaining than the competitive playlist. And a lot of y'all probably know I don't play much comp as it is. With that being said though, I wanted to talk about some things what if Bungie did X number of things to this game, right? Or to the competitive playlist. So starting off with number one here, first of all, what if Bungie just actually showed care about it, right? I know somebody's gonna say they do, blah, blah, blah. But like when I say actually showed care, one of the biggest issues with comp, in my opinion, is, first of all, let's talk about the matchmaking, right? Matchmaking is miserable. I want to get in, I want to get my 3 games done per character. So I get my Belisarius D, right? And that's the extent of my comp enjoyment, or not even enjoyment. That's the extent of my comp stuff. And the reason why, the biggest reason why, is because it takes me an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to play those 3 games, because the games are incredibly long, and even worse, the matchmaking between games is ridiculous. Like guys, like I'm sitting in orbit last night, which granted, or I'm sorry, not last night, last week, I think it was like Sunday night, maybe Monday night. And I know Trials is about stuff like that, but I should not be waiting for 20 minutes for a lobby to start. Right? I shouldn't be waiting more than probably like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, right? And so Bungie, they want to do skill-based matchmaking, but I have, an idea for the competitive playlist that I think could maybe help the entire situation, right? So what if Bungie did a full overhaul of the competitive playlist? And basically the starting point would be the removal of skill-based matchmaking. Now, again, I know competitive, it's supposed to be a skill-based game, right? But hear me out, because the removal of skill-based matchmaking would automatically increase the speed at which you're actually finding matches, right? Because when you are in orbit for competitive playlists, and let's say you're ascendant rank, let's say you're max rank, it is trying to match you, with other players that are very high rank, maybe not ascendant, but it's trying to match you with, adepts, and other ascendant players, and stuff like that. And so it takes a long time because it has to find those players. Then it has to determine whether or not their connection is worthy, right? Because you don't want to connect with somebody, across the United States or across the ocean for that matter, and all of a sudden they're lagging all over the place. So there's a lot of, working parts to finding games, and that's what's leading them to take so long to find. So what if we remove skill-based matchmaking and just did strictly connection based? Now the other side of this is, what if Bungie also removed the penalty you get for losing games? So basically, for those of y'all who don't know, the way comp works currently is when you play games, you get score for winning and you lose score for losing once you hit a certain rank, but also your performance during the game has an effect on how much score you get, or how much rank you get, I should say, right? So if you are top frag in the lobby and your team loses the game, instead of losing like 100 points, we're just going to use nice round numbers here. Instead of losing 100 points, it's going to credit you plus maybe 75 points because your performance was good. So negative 100 plus 75 is minus 25. So instead of losing 100 score, you only lose 25 score. On the converse, let's say you win a game and you do very, very well. You're going to get 100 points for the win and get another 75 points for doing well. So now, 175 points is what you get. Let's say another example. You are on a team that wins the game, but you didn't do anything. You got like 2 kills, you stayed in the back, you were hiding, you're trying to snipe, but you missed a bunch of shots, stuff like that. It's going to not give you quite as many points. I don't think it deducts points. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it deducts points for poor, playing slow and stuff like that. But your team wins, you have very little kills, you're going to get a, only like +5. So you get 100 points for the win and only 5 extra points for doing well. Again, round numbers here, round numbers. right? So I think that we could actually build off of that in a system that instead of losing rank, you just don't gain any rank for the, you know, for losing, right? So in the idea I have in my mind here, when you play, let's say you load in and you're like, let's say platinum rank 3, right? Like you're not the top, but you're not the very bottom. You're platinum rank 3 or platinum rank 2. And you get matched with a couple of ascendant rank people because the connections for those ascendant rank players are better. Obviously, you know, naturally the loss probably is what happens. So you lose the game. Instead of losing score, you don't gain any score. But your performance, you still gain the performance score. So instead of, oh, now I got minus 100 points, there's no more minus 100 points. But you performed well, you performed well enough to get plus 75 points or plus 50 points, you get 50 points added for that match. Now winning, on the other hand, winning is what's gonna net you that additional 100 points so you can move up that ladder quicker, right? I think this would be a really nice overhaul. You know, just yesterday we talked about, you know, Bungie's moving in a way of just handing players everything. This is the best way they can hand players stuff, right? Because it's going to reward you for doing well and being a good player. You're going to get to the top very, very quickly. You're going to get to, you know, focus those engrams and whatever it is you want to do, get your emblem and stuff. But if you are not as good, you can still battle your way up that ladder. You know what? You can continuously lose games, but as long as you're playing and improving your gameplay, you're getting kills, you're going to be getting small bits of rank so that you can climb up that ladder. Then, you know, maybe by the end of the season, finally by the end of the season, you hit ascendant rank, right? And then Bungie, I don't know, that maybe they could add an additional reward. Like if you get to ascendant rank by, you know, week 3 or week 4 or something like that, you get another unique emblem, something like that. I think that would be a really nice change that they could make to help, you know, to help with the skill, to help with the matchmaking. That's the main point of all these changes, to help with the matchmaking, because it's ridiculous to sit in orbits for 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like that's ridiculous. That is an insanely long time for 20 minutes to wait to load into a game where you're pitted against a team of 3 against 3 solos, right? Because that's what ended up happening, which is wild to me that it actually the game allowed that to happen. But you know, I was trying to find games and stuff. So yeah, that's the first what if that I wanted to present here. Tell me about it in the comments. But the other what if here, comp games, I'm okay with them being longer than usual, right? Like comp games, you know, I don't think comp games should be something that's you go in and you beat it in like 3 or 4 minutes, right? Like I'm okay with them being longer and more methodical and slow and stuff like that. But there gets to be a point in something like Countdown where too long is a thing. When I'm in a Countdown game for like 8 minutes, oh man, I sat in orbit for 20 minutes to find a game. Let's lower that. Let's say 10 minutes. I sat in orbit for 10 minutes to find a game. Then I get a game that's dragged out forever just to be put back in another 10-minute queue. Like you see the issue. It's taken too long between games. So I had a couple of ideas for the game modes that I think could help them go quicker. And I think there's another issue that I have with comp games that just sucks the fun out of them is players. I don't want to word this in a rude or harsh way, but players, they have a tendency to play very, very passively and, you know, for the win, so to speak. And one of the biggest examples I can think of, I think I waited 7 minutes in a match. I believe it was last week. 7 minutes, loaded into Citadel. Okay, Citadel's notorious for people going to the back of the map to camp. But basically, we got down to, it was a 2-2 game, and the enemy got a lucky cloud strike snipe, killed 2 of us. So they had 1 life, we had 0 lives. They won because their entire team went all the way to the back of the map. And I know you could say, oh, well, you should have done better in the earlier round. You should have done better, blah, blah. Here's the thing. You should not be able to run to the back of the map to win the game. That should not be an option, right? So for survival, one of the things that I thought of that, hey, you know, what if Bungie did this to make it better is what if instead of, I'm sorry, I just realized that I probably sounded like I was on crack when I said that. Here's an idea. what if Bungie, to encourage players to not just go passively wait at the back of the map, what if Bungie had the rounds their same length? I think it's 1.5 minutes, right? Maybe 2 minutes, something like that. But once that timer runs out, there's the flag will spawn in the middle. And regardless of how many revives you have left, that flag will always spawn if it goes to the time, right? So let's say, you know, my team, we get 5 kills, right? So they only have 1 life left. My team doesn't die at all, so we still have 6 lives left. The game doesn't just end because time runs out. We have more lives. The game now, the game now goes to a final flag. But the key difference here is when that final flag spawns, your lives and stuff still play out the same, right? So the team with 1 life left, we get a kill while they're on the flag, just for an example. Now they have no lives. They can, the guy that just died can still spawn back in because he used last respawn, but we still have 6 lives. The trade-off for doing that is whenever it's in that final cap point dominion zone or whatever, the spawns move from the very far corners of the map up much, much closer. Therefore, if my team, for example, with 6 respawns, you know, we go and we're starting to cap the flag and they snipe us and kill all 3 of us, they get a lucky cloud strike and kill all 3 of us, they can't just move in and cap the flag and win the round just because. And the reason why is because we are spawning not very far away from it. So it takes us, you know, like 2 seconds. Also, the respawn timer should be shorter during this, could be shorter, not should be, but it could be shorter during this in-game time, right? So my team gets triple sniped, their team runs in and gets on the flag. By the time their flag is about like half capped, we're already back there and ready to fight again. Another thing I think that could potentially really make this whole situation interesting is having it so that, you know, when you start capping a flag, right? Like, you know, the enemy caps at 50%. When your team gets on it, instead of just instantly deleting and clearing enemy progress, it now has to go back, right? So the enemy capped at 50%. You know, your team now has to cap the flag basically 150%, right? And this would, you know, allow, or not allow, but it would create an environment where you want to play carefully, but you know that you have to make moves. Like, you have to play aggressive, but you have to be conscious of, you know, where your team is and how many enemies you're killing and stuff like that. Then after, let's say 30 seconds to a minute, after that flag point starts, the overtime timer starts, if nobody caps the flag, the round is tied, or better yet, the game just ends and nobody gets any rank at all, right? Nobody gets positive rank even for their performance. Nobody gets negative rank for their performance. Or maybe, you know, Bungie could say, you know what, you keep your performance rank, but you don't get any rank for winning. You don't lose any rank for losing, because you didn't lose, the game ended in a tie. I don't know, like, that's, again, this is just wild thoughts here on how to improve the situation of players just playing super scared and passive, right? Another issue obviously is supers. Just earlier today I was playing a game of Countdown, and the score, I don't remember exactly what the score was, but the timer was up on the board and it had like 45 seconds left, and we just had 2 people put bubbles down on the bomb. That was the most boring 45 seconds of our lives because we couldn't do anything, right? Like, we couldn't, you know, it takes forever to get from one side of Midtown, it was Midtown by the way, from one side of Midtown to the other side just to fight the bubble. I think that's something Bungie could do. Like, what if Bungie just eliminated or gave everybody their supers whenever it goes to overtime, right? Like, I know, like, maybe that's a wild, crazy idea, but if you're using a bubble or if you're using Thunder Crash or whatever, everybody just gets their super once overtime starts, and that's the only super you have during the course of overtime. It's not like you could, you know, potentially get another one, which getting a super in like a minute in the Crucible's not likely anyways, but I think that would be a really neat thing, because then, hey, I want to use the bubble to try to cap the zone, or hey, I want to use my Thunder Crash to, you know, delete the bubble, or I want to use my Thunder Crash to, you know, kill the enemy team, allow our team to get on the flag and start capping it. You know, like, there's an infinite number of possibilities you could do and save your super for. But once you use it, you only have the one, because nothing's more frustrating to me than somebody winning a game because they have high intellect and they got their super first. I don't think that should be a thing in any game mode outside of the 6v6 playlist, right? Comp, trials, I know that, you know, last season trials was plagued by well and bubble users that just saved their bubbles and wells till they could put them on the point. That's why conditional finality was so popular, is so popular. But you know, they made changes to the supers, but I don't know, like I think that would be just a really wild change that they could make. Players could test it out. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not good, I don't know. But I don't know, it's just it's a fun what if Bungie did these things. As for Countdown, oh man, Countdown's a tough one, because Countdown games are always long to me, right? Like there's no such thing as a fast Countdown game unless you are trying to lose, intentionally throwing the game, and that's frustrating. I think one of the things that Bungie could do for Countdown is maybe have a situation where once you plant, like the round is a minute long, you can plant, when you're on the plant team, you can plant the bomb, the enemy team can defuse it, but you can plant the bomb again, or they can defuse it again. And basically, like, you can have this cycle of planting and defusing the same bomb until that minute long timer runs out, right? And then, you know, the enemy team, let's say you plant the bomb once and the enemy defuses it once, and you plant a bomb again, and then it blows up the second time. That gives your team 2 points, and it gives their team 1 point for defusing it. Also, I think that maybe 4 rounds is too much. Maybe reduce it to 3, right? I don't know. That's a little bit of a crazy thought, but Countdown's a little bit of a different story. I don't really know exactly what Bungie could do for Countdown to make it not so long, but yeah, that's my what if Wednesday for today. You know, what if Bungie just did some things in comp to really shake it up? Again, this is just what ifs here. You know, if you like it, that's awesome. If you don't like it, tell me why you don't like it in the comments below, and tell me your thoughts on what if for comp this week. Also, I forgot to mention, if you have an idea of something you'd like for us to talk about on What If Wednesday, leave it in the comments below. Okay, thanks. Bye. Of course, yeah, that's it for me. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content. And guys, I will see y'all next time. Bye for now.